Okay guys, I'm back with another DVD walkthrough. Sorry it took so long. I've been busy working and stuff, but let's just keep moving. On the next shelf we continue with The Simpsons, all the rest of the seasons. I think we left off on season, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is going to be season 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and finally 14. I'm waiting for them to release the 15th season. Should be later this fall, I suppose. Yeah, very cool box set. I love these. They're full of audio commentaries, and they've got very, very cool artwork, especially the new ones. Even though they're kind of cumbersome to handle sometimes, you kind of have to. Yeah, it's tough to get the discs out from some of these. After that, we've got Jennifer 8. It's a thriller starring Uma Thurman. Probably a slightly underrated thriller, I think. It's not the best in the world, but you get Andy Garcia, Uma Thurman, and Lawrence Hendrickson in there. So yeah, that's a pretty decent thriller movie. See it at the same time. And then we've got Reservoir Dogs, Tarantino's first. Great film. Just nothing else to say about that. After that we got the special edition of Candyman. I love Candyman. I've unfortunately not seen any of the sequels, but I should check those out as well. I love the gothic feel to the first one. Very, very cool. Next up is Return of the Living Dead 3. I picked this up on a whim and it turned out to be pretty decent. It's not as good as the first two. Nowhere near as good, but still pretty good, I think. Very interesting and yeah, pretty cool. Then we've got Army of Darkness, the Anchor Bay edition. It also says The Evil Dead 3, interestingly enough. Yeah, Army of Darkness is, I think it's slightly overrated actually. I prefer the first one, as I may have mentioned before, but still very, very funny film. And a lot of fun to watch if you're with the guys and stuff. This also comes with both of the editions. One of them is sort of the director's cut with the alternate ending, and one of them is the theatrical cut. And I guess I tend to prefer the theatrical cut, which makes more sense to me. Okay, after Arm of Darkness we've got Batman Returns, Tim Burton. I love Batman Returns. It's one of my absolute favorite Batman films. It's so incredibly atmospheric, it's so well photographed, and it's just so dark, so incredibly wonderfully dark. It's a movie that I grew up on. I would watch it probably 30 times a day or something like that, so I'm quite familiar with it, and it really sort of helped shape who I am today. So yeah, Batman Returns is an awesome film, still. Next up we've got Arnold Schwarzenegger. Come on, Jamie Lee, we gotta get out of here, come on! In True Lies. True Lies is very cool. It's actually one of the better James Cameron films, I think. It's one of those films that rarely gets mentioned, but it's a very, very cool action comedy. A lot of fun, great energy, and I just love the combination of Arnold and Jamie Lee Curtis in there. We also got a young Eliza Dushku playing their daughter, so that's cool, I guess. After that, Tim Burton's Ed Wood, starring Johnny Depp. Very, very, very cool film. Highly underrated, I think. Great, great combination of drama and humor, and Johnny Depp just kind of knocks it out of the park in this one. After that, we got the two-disc special edition of Casino, another gangster film. This was a gift from a friend in Norway, so thank you for that one. Casino is pretty good. It's a fairly decent crime drama film. It's not my absolute favorite of all time though, but it's pretty good. So I don't know what else to say about Casino. It's should watch it again sometime. After that we got Ghost in the Shell. Anime. Do you say anime or anime, or how do you pronounce it? I guess people pronounce it differently. I don't know what's the correct pronunciation. like 10 different ways to say it, but anyway, it's a Japanese animated film. One of the big ones to really bring Japanese culture and the manga and anime form to the Western world, and it's a very deep psychological action thriller with a lot of sort of semi-erotic elements in there, so very cool. After that, it's Batman Forever. Batman Forever was also a huge one for me when I was a kid. I was right at that sort of transition age. I never got hooked on Batman and Robin, but I did see Batman Forever in theaters and I was just blown away by it. I don't think it's as good as Tim Burton's movies today, but I still think it's an okay Batman film. After that, it's The Rock, Michael Bay's grand epic. Michael Bay only does grand epics, I know. But yeah, The Rock is very cool. You got some humor in there. The combination of Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery is just inspired. So yeah, The Rock is really one of those films that sort of taught you how powerful a good action movie can really be. So that's cool. Next we've got In Cold Blood from 1996. This is a Truman Capote miniseries, I believe. The only reason I bought this one is because I used to be, and suppose I still am in some ways, a huge fan of a Canadian actress called Emily Perkins, who starred in the Ginger Snaps trilogy. So she does a very, very, very short cameo in this. Yeah, so I bought the whole thing just to see her role. There you go. And after In Cold Blood, it's Hellraiser Bloodlines. This is the one that takes place in outer space, and this is one of the worst. It's not the very worst of the Hellraiser films, but it's one of the crappiest in the bunch. So yeah. The only thing I like about this one is there's an actress in there called, I think she's called Kim Myers, and she looks exactly like a young Meryl Streep, which is very funny. She also starred in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, I think, so you may recognize her from there. After that, it's Boogie Nights, baby. I love this cover artwork here, very cool. Got Dirk Diggler there, and all his pals. Porno movies in the 70s. Yeah, Boogie Nights is just, I don't know, it's just fun, good fun movie. So yeah, I gotta have that one. And after Boogie Nights we've got Gia, starring Angelina Jolie. This was sort of a breakthrough role for her. It's before she did Tomb Raider films and stuff like that. It's a very, I don't know what to say, artsy fartsy drama about Gia Marie Carangi, a real life photo model who ended up contracting HIV and yeah, dying from it. So yeah, very tragic, but she does a great job in this one. So if you have not seen her early work, I suggest you check out Gia sometime. After that, we've got Insomnia. This is the original Norwegian version, starring Stellan Skarsgård. I've only seen this once, but I heard a lot of good things about it, and I'd seen the Christopher Nolan version, so I figured I would pick this up as well. Should probably watch this again sometime because it's been quite a while. After Insomnia, we've got the Steelbook of The Crow. I think everyone knows The Crow, starring Brandon Lee. A great film. I hear there's a remake brewing, and all I can say is no, don't go there, please. I've never seen any of the sequels either, so my love of this film is pretty much untarnished, I guess you could say. Very, very cool flick. Next to the Crow Steelbook, we've got Cloverfield in another Steelbook. I'm not gonna take that one out as well, but it's kind of a dented Steelbook. I really like Cloverfield. I thought it was interesting how it could kind of throw you into a situation like that, and you just kind of had to relate to the characters almost immediately. It felt like you were really there and experiencing something very tragic and action-packed. It's also very interesting because it's set in a sort of post 9/11 world, and everything is different now. We're almost used to seeing tragedies on a massive scale in the news, so that as horrible as it may sound, I think that really helps the film. After that, it's Paranormal Activity. The first one, I've not picked up any of the sequels just yet, but I've seen them all. I'm decently, I don't want to say avid fan, but I think they're good films. They're really good at escalating things, even though they're not to the point. It's not a direct thing happening, so to speak. I think the first one was very, very interesting to watch, and I remember watching it in a small, cold theater with my friend. And there were only 2 other people there, 2 girls, I think, and they were silently being freaked out of their minds. So yeah, there's Paranormal Activity. Next up, it's The Ugly, and a film from New Zealand, I believe. The reason I have this one is because I saw it in a sort of documentary thing called Boogeymen, or something like that, about slasher movies and horror movies. And I found it really, really interesting, and it's got a great aesthetic to it, and it's just really sort of out there and interesting, so check that out. After The Ugly, it's In the Grip of Evil. This is a documentary about a real-life case of possession, but it's an awful documentary. I was just in a super-duper exorcist mood, so I had a friend set me up with this, but turns out it's just awful. Plain awful, so don't see it. I'm probably gonna end up selling or giving this away to some poor schmuck in the future. Then there's completing the original Batman series. It's Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin, I think, takes a lot of shit. Come on, I know it's a bad movie, and I totally agree with that, but I don't think it's quite as bad as people make it out to be. I mean, it's based on a freaking cartoon or a freaking comic book about a guy who runs around in a tight, colorful mask and saves people from bad guys. So on that note, I don't think it's quite as bad as it is. A bad film, but it's far from the worst movie I've ever seen. After Batman and Robin, we've got Face Off, starring Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. One of my favorite action films. Great aesthetic, great action, a lot of pace, and it's also got a little bit of the human touch in there, but a little bit of romance and a little bit of drama, which really helps elevate the film. After Face Off, we've got I Know What You Did Last Summer, one of those slick 90s slasher movies, which followed in the footsteps of movies like Scream, but still a fairly decent movie, I think. It's not going to go down winning any awards or anything, but it's pretty cool. I like the cast: Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jennifer Love Hewitt, all those sort of popular teen beat heartthrobs. And you get a nice killer in there with a hook skewering people, so yeah. After that, it's Wes Craven's Wishmaster, the first one. Again, I've not seen any of the sequels, but I have seen the first one, and it's a fun movie, sort of a B-movie with a great horror cast and a lot of 90s special effects, so it's fun. After that, it's Psycho the remake. Why do I have Psycho the remake? Believe it or not, it's the first DVD I ever bought. Back in 2002, three maybe. I just gotten an Xbox. Remember the first Xbox? And yeah, I heard it could play DVDs if you bought an extra thingy to it. So I went ahead and did that, and lo and behold, I bought Psycho, the awful remake based on the cover alone, and yeah, I was fairly disappointed. I do like kind of seeing it in color though. Like, I do enjoy seeing the shower scene in color with the vivid bright red blood. That's pretty cool. I won't deny that. Going on 90s films, it's H2O or H20, Halloween 20 years later. I think it's one of the best sequels in a horror series ever. I love this film. It's so great. The only thing it doesn't have going for it is John Carpenter, but that's okay because Steve Miner does a great job with it.